everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and we got a little bit of an extra bonus video for Monday art lesson. I wanted to do like a graffiti letters design. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to kind of do that and then add some things to it to make it stand out. But first, again, I just really want to thank everybody who's subscribed. It's really been cool to get 300 students, so it's just really cool, and I really do appreciate all of you guys that show up to do this. And if you have ideas for what you want to see, please let me know down in the comments. But we're gonna go ahead and get started on today's lesson with some graffiti letters. Okay, so the thing with the graffiti letters, you don't want to be too straightforward with your design, right? So we want to kind of make sure that we angle things, and stretch them out. So I'm just gonna we're gonna do like the letters, but we're gonna take it and kind of run a theme with it, right? So I'm gonna go with the word insane here, and we're gonna use the word insane to help us design our letters. So like right now I'm just working on the letter R, or letter R, the letter I. So I'm just building and giving layers to this by really like curving and shaping the design work, giving it some different depth and layers by adding these little creases in there. But the thing with kind of like if any of y'all have ever done bubble letters, you want to kind of like lay them over the top, right? So like for this letter N here, I'm going to kind of curve it a little bit and bring it down for the word insane and curve that in. And I'm going to kind of try to keep things even by working back and forth so that I can get the letter shapes in the right spot of where I want them. Okay, so we're just going to take that and kind of curve it up about right here, and then I'm going to come back down. So see how I've kind of got them like overlapping on each other to make it stand out a little bit more, have more of a stylization to it. Let's bring this down a little bit more. I might curve that out. I'll come right off of this right here, even though that's not how we would actually make an N. Again, we want to try to stylize what we have. And then I want to show a little bit more depth by having it kind of come down. So so I have like I and N here. Okay, then I want to take my S. I'm going to stretch that out to here. We're going to kind of come down into here. But you want to kind of alternate. You don't want to keep going because your letters will get like longer and longer. So like for my S here, I'm going to shorten it up. Let's stretch it out just a little bit more. Okay, we'll come up this way. Again, we'll add some layer to it by cutting down in front right here. Okay, Then I'm going to curve that around. Right here. And go up. And kind of curve that in this way. Maybe make that just a little bit taller. Okay, same thing down here. I want to kind of show through. And I'm just kind of cracking the lines and stuff because I want it to showcase the word that I'm using, which is the word insane. So kind of showing like how it's off a little bit. I'm going to shorten this S down just a little bit more. Okay. And now I can work in the letter A. Okay. So now what I want to do is kind of start with the top. I'm going to make it taller. Have that come down and curve that out. And come down with the A that way. I'm going to try to keep things even by coming down here so I can get the length. And let's pop out the S a little bit more right here. So I'm just going to add another little curve in on that. Okay, and we'll just have the A kind of run into it right there. And then up here towards the top, we'll have that come down this way. Maybe shorten it. Let's kind of go here. So we shorten that way and put more curve to it. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is come in here and get the middle section of the A. Okay, again I want to kind of show like a little bit of that cracked look in there. Bring that out. And then we can take the A down into the S. Okay, and then maybe here it starts to cave back in to get down into that part there. Okay. So now I can come out here and start working the letter N. Maybe have that run down back inside. So I'm thinking about, you're always thinking about like kind of drawing through your shape here. Okay. And then I would want that to kind of come out right here. And go back down into the N, or the A. Have that come out. Okay, next thing I can do is start coming across the top. Let's put a little bit of a cracked look right inside of there. Bring it out some. Just bring that down, and then we'll just do like we did with the other end. Kind of bring that out from the middle. And we'll go down and we'll connect it here at the bottom. Let's turn this in a little bit more that way. Come up. Okay. Then we just got to fit in our E. So I'm just going to curve that up from here. And bring that in, come down. Again, I want to keep things even, so I'm going to come down here, go across, add a little bit of a crack in there, come up with it, come down, just kind of have it overlap right there. We'll bring it up here. Just a little bit more right there. Just have that connect there. Okay. So now we have the word insane on here, right? Well, now we need to kind of spruce it up, right? We need to get that stylization in there. So we're going to add in some things to kind of help tell the story or the personification of the word insane, right? So like the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw me a circle up here at the top. Okay, so this is going to end up being an eyeball. Right? And then have my pupil there. And then again, because we're using the word insane, we're going to do something insane. I'm going to drive a nail through the center of this eye. Okay, I'm going to kind of come out with the edge here. Go a little bit further past the eye. And then give it kind of like a back edge right there. So that's going to be our nail that's driven through the eye, right? So now I want to kind of come out and put this goop that would come out of the eye, you know, where it's getting stabbed through. And then down here in the bottom as well. Kind of have it go like that. And just draw a little bit of goop on the nail there as well. Okay, so now I have myself a little eyeball there. Next thing I'm going to do is like right here on the end, I'm going to put a spider on here. So we're going to kind of come up and build the body that way. Okay. And then I'm going to come down in here. I'm going to build like a bottom section to this body, so that's all attached. This is going to be the part where my legs come out at. Then I'm going to put like a head on here. Okay. Then I want to kind of draw out my little mandible chompers here on the spider. Okay, and it's dependent on the spider. Like, some of them have 4 eyes, some of them have 8. We're just going to put 4 on ours. Okay, I'm going to come in here. Let's put a design on the back of this spider, just to make it insane. We're going to do like a "Are you crazy?" exclamation point on the back, just to have it on there. Okay, the next thing I'll do is I'm going to draw out the legs and just slowly erase and section off different parts of the leg until it connects into the body. Okay, so like I can do another one coming down this way. You have it curved down the S. And we can divvy up the leg sections a little bit. Okay. Then I can come down in here, curve another leg down. Like that. And then we can just stretch one out across the S right here. And have that connect into the body. Okay. I got my spider's legs there. To give it some more depth, we're going to make the legs come out over the top. Go down behind the head and the eyeballs here. So I can just section that leg off there and drop that back. And I can pull another one out here and have that reach down behind. I want to go behind the leg here. Okay. So now I have myself a nice little spider. Something else we can do is to keep that theme. I can use this space here that I have to draw me another eyeball. Again, just keeping with that theme of insane. Okay. And we can have it looking another direction just to have some change from the other eyeball. Put a reflection up here and a pupil right here. Okay. So now that I have that, I can start thinking of like some other things to help me with the word insane. So like, what if we had like a monster claw tearing its way out of the letter S here. So we can draw the claws first. Alright, so see I got like these little fingers coming. And do the same thing right here. And then we can throw one more right in there. And then I want it to look like it's kind of gripping through, so I'm just going to come to the other side here. And we'll draw a little bit of a bigger one just because it's the thumb. But we'll just open that up like that. Now in order to get that kind of look like it's ripping through, again I'm going to draw like this kind of crack shape, like it's tearing through. And just do that around the fingers like that. Okay. Then I can come to the thumb. And we can do the same thing. Just kind of have it look like it's ripping through. Alright. Now I want to do one more thing. Well, two more actually, but I'm going to do one more on the letters over here. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw me another eyeball. Let's kind of widen it a little bit, get more of a rounded shape. So we'll erase that out. So now I have my eyeball here. Okay. And I can do the same thing where I have my iris. And then right in here, I'm going to have my reflection for my eyeball. And then put the pupil in right there. Now here's the part where we're going to add to the insane, right? So I'm going to cause this kind of opening right here. And then I'm going to come here and do the same thing. Now the reason why I'm doing that is I want it to look like it's poking through. So what we can do is we can use that line on the end here and I can draw in this zipper shape. And kind of have it like where it's splitting open. We can just kind of go around like the eyeball's poking through it. Again, we're going with a theme of insane, so this is pretty insane. We're just going to work our way around. Make it look like the eyeball is breaking through on a zipper. And we can go back to the alternating zipper. So then it seems like it's closed again. Okay, so as I come down here, and I've reached this bottom, I'll put in another square here. And then I'm going to draw in the actual zipper part right here. like that. And then kind of come down this way. Draw that in that way. Okay, so now I have this kind of like cool zipper, the eyeballs poking through. And I want to do one more thing to kind of help sell, the overall shape, but, just the fact that we have a spider on here. We're going to kind of draw in a webbing. So we'll just have that kind of wrapped around on the front. We want to keep it as thin as possible, but not too thin that we accidentally, color over it afterwards. Trace out that little line right in there. Okay, and then we're just going to build up this web shape. So I'm going to make this come and extend out. And again, just kind of keeping with the same sort of style that we did there. I want to have it spread as it comes down. Kind of like it's connected to the floor. And then obviously anywhere that that web passes in front of the letter, we want to clean that out so that, it's not blended in with what we got. Okay, so I'm going to take this web down here, stretch it out that way. Again, trying to keep it as close as possible. I don't want it to be like super duper thick. Okay. So now that I have that, I want one more. And we're just going to stretch that down right past here. Again, sticking with that stylized look. We're just going to have that run all the way up and connect to our web there. Okay. Now the next part is getting the actual like webbing to go across. So I'm just going to start down here at the bottom. And we're going to put a curve to it. Like that. Give it some space. And we'll just curve that. Oh, that's a little bit too thick. Curve that across the bottom there. Obviously anything inside the web I'm going to get rid of. Okay, so we'll curve that again. Okay, and I'm just going to work my way up. From there, obviously, I'm going to get closer and closer together as I reach the top. So there'll be less and less space between my webs. Okay, so now I have my webbing in there. I want to erase out these edges where they connect so that they're just open. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so we can just separate those. Almost through. So you can see I've taken something as simple as the word insane, and I have added drawings and features to it to make it stand out and be more stylized. And we just got this last row right here. Okay. Now, the next thing that I want to do is, usually with graffiti, it's not just like this flat surface, right? We want to kind of expand upon what we have. Okay. So we want to be able to have multiple color layers to our drawing, right? So we can come up to the bottom shapes that we have here. And I'm essentially just vaguely tracing the outline of what I have. Okay. See how it's adding that extra layer to it? So I can come in here with the spider. Do the same thing, bring that down. Come back around the eyeball. Go all the way down to the bottom and reconnect there. Okay? So that is the basis of that outline. Alright, now we got to talk about making it pop, getting colors. Now the best way to do that is, right now you can see everything's really thin, right? So there's a couple of things that are going to stay thin, right? So I'm going to think about matching. So I want my webbing to be thin and the spider to be thin as well. Okay. So you can take an ink pen, a Sharpie, anything you want, and just kind of trace over your line work. Okay. Now for the moment, I am simply just going to, in real time, trace over the webbing and the spider because they are the same. But then when I do the thickening of the lines, we will speed that one up. And the reason why I want to keep the webbing thin is I don't want to take away from the fact that it is webbing, because it's usually nice and thin and like silk. Now, obviously I've made some thick webs, but that's just because I want it to be able to be seen. I also don't want any color bleeds or anything like that to happen. Okay, so I've traced the outside. Now all I have to do is trace the inside of the web. Okay, so just continue around. And once we're done with that, we're going to move on to the spider itself. So really try to control your lines, especially if you're using like an ink pen. You got to kind of scratch it in. I mean, you work with what you got. Same thing with a Sharpie marker. If you can get one of these like fine tip Sharpies, that's great. But you can still use a regular Sharpie, just very carefully and lightly when you touch the page. Now, the reason why I'm doing this full inked in bit is because I do want to color it with you guys, which you can obviously pick your own colors. But that way it doesn't bleed over my line work, right? So since I went thin on the webbing, I want to match with the spider. And I'm going to go thin on the spider as well. Some nice solid lines. Okay, just go over the different sections of your legs and just build it out until your spider is completely traced out. Okay. So obviously, you know, art takes time for it to be good. So I mean, the video is a little long, but I just really wanted to show you guys some graffiti. I added a lot to it. You don't have to be as, I guess, lack of a better word, like what we're doing the word for. You don't have to be as insane. Now, if you look right here on the eyeballs, I'm drawing these little reflective lines because when I color it, that'll tell me not to color in that area. Okay. That's going to take care of our spider and our web lines. Now, everything else, if you ever look at graffiti and things like that, the outlines have these thicker edges to them, right? So for the letters themselves, I want to come out here and I'm going to take my ink pen or whatever I got and I'm going to make these lines thicker than all the other lines. I don't want them to be tiny. I want to actually thicken them up to the point to where it is a clear borderline of where my boundary is for when I'm coloring, right? So I'm literally coming in here and thickening those edges to the point that they stand out even more than the webbing and the spider that we've drawn. So think of it like you're almost coloring in your lines. I'm just going to finish off this eye with you guys. And I'm going to speed it up just to save time on video length. So it's not like a 2-hour video. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I'm just continuing to work my way around. Making it nice and thick. And now you can see the difference between these two here. Okay. So I'm going to go around everything. The eyeballs, the nail, the fingers, the outside edge, all of that is going to be thick. Okay. So I'm going to speed it up. And I'll see you guys in a few minutes or a few seconds. But you guys just keep filling that in. And when you get to that point, if you need to pause it, you can. But I will see you guys in a few seconds, okay? Alright, so now that we have that all inked in, I know it takes some time, but trust me, it's going to make it look good. You could technically leave it like this, but one thing that I would suggest doing is you still got kind of like some of your pencil sketching in there. So I would just take your eraser, go over it, and get rid of any of that sketchiness because we want this line work to look nice and clean. So just kind of go over your drawing, get rid of any pencil sketches that you can see left in there. Just erase those out. Okay, so once that's cleaned up and you've got all of that out of there, okay, you could technically leave it just like this. Excuse me. And you could be good to go. But I want to take mine and, I mean, what's graffiti without color, right? I want to take mine and I want to color what I got. So I got some markers here. You can use colored pencil or whatever you wanted. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way from the outside in. That way I don't kind of go over what I've done. So I just use an alcohol marker. You can use a regular marker. But you want to think of colors and contrasting colors. Alright, so I'm going to start with a green. And again, you can use colored pencil or whatever you want. But I'm just going to use a green. And just nicely color in, nice and solid. And I'm going to be very careful because I want my spider web to remain white. So I want to be very careful that I don't go inside, like kind of like I did on there. It's okay if you do, but if you're just trying to make sure that it stays 100% white, you want to really take your time going around. Okay, I'm just going to give that a nice green color, but only on the outside background. Okay, so again, just to save time for yourselves and not killing my computer with a 2-hour video, I'm going to speed it up, and then when I'm done with the green, we'll talk about the next color. Okay. Okay. Now that we have that green filled in, you can see I kind of like bled in on a couple parts, but it's okay. It's okay. So now I want to go and pick a color that is opposite, right? We don't want to have another cool color next to it because I don't want it to blend in. Sorry, I dropped my marker top in here. But yeah, so one of the most common colors that are opposite of green is red. You could use orange, you could use whatever you want, but to really bring home that insane, what I'm going to do is use red because it'll stand out more, kind of show intensity of insanity. And see, I kind of bled into the spider web. It's okay. It's going to happen with alcohol markers or any wet markers that like to bleed. I also put a magazine up underneath because I started to bleed through my sketchbook. So if you don't want to ruin pages in your sketchbook that come after, I would do that. Put something underneath it that you don't mind getting some. And I missed a little spot of green. Getting a little bit of some marker on, then you can just lead that through. But I am going to make sure I take my time as much as I can going around this webbing, because like I said, I want it to be as white as possible when I'm done. But you can see how, because the two colors contrast each other, it stands out against it. Okay. So while I'm finishing up this eye, I want you to think about what colors you want to use for your letters. And again, if you can look at a color wheel, pretty much any color that's on the opposite side of the colors you chose to use. So like if your background was purple, you know, what color would you choose to use on the other side? So like a purple would go good with an orange or a yellow. But you just want to make sure you choose something that's not going to blend in together. Alright, so what I want you to do is just continue to move through the picture and shade in or color in those colors on those letters. And I'm going to speed it up again, save time, and I will see you guys after that, okay? Right, so that's going to do it for the red. So now that I have those two colors down, the rest of it, it's not super important that we have to match with contrasting colors. Now we want to make things pop and stand out from it, right? So like doing little things like, let's say, for the eyeballs, right? I can come in here and I can make the pupils a purple color. Or you can make them yellow or whatever you want. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to make the irises, is what I meant to say, not the pupils, but the irises. I'm going to make those purple on all of the eyeballs. Okay, again, just take your time filling it in, because if you want your eye to remain looking white, then you don't want to go outside of it too much, right? And that's it. I mean, these things are a lot smaller parts. So like for a monster claw, you know, I'm going to use a more turquoisey kind of color to stand out. And since it's a monster, you know, I don't want to give it a normal skin tone. So I'm just going to color that in this kind of a turquoisey color. I mean, my marker says mint lime green, but to me they don't always dry the way that they say that they are on the thing. So that's that. Okay, so see, I have this kind of like it's a cooler color that offsets that red. And like for the nail, I can get like a gray, you know, just come in here and color that a gray color, right? I can use that same gray down here on the zipper parts. The nice part is since the zippers are so small, I can just use the tip to give a couple strokes to fill those in. Again, a color that stands out against the red. Doesn't blend in too much, right? I could do that same gray on the claws for the monster. Like that. Okay, and then for like the spider itself, we could actually have him kind of blend in. Do it kind of like a black widow a little bit. So like I could come in here, use the thinner side, and take this red. And we can go around our little exclamation point symbol on the spider. And then we'll save using the color black for last. For two reasons. One, we don't want it to overtake too much of anything. Probably color in about that much there. Okay. And then the last thing I want to do is I'm going to grab this kind of like a pink color and make the goopiness coming from the eyeball that's been stabbed. Kind of have that tone. Okay. And then I'm going to finish off with a black. Now the reason why I'm doing that is, number one, again, I don't want that all to bleed over, but that's why we did everything in ink first. Because if I come on here and I color with this black, it'll help me stay within the confines of the spider itself. By following those inking lines that I have in there. Also, if you remember, on the head or the eyeballs, we left a specific area white. So I'm going to try and not color in those areas on the eye. That way it looks like they have a little bit of reflectivity in them. Right? Then I can take, now if you don't want it to be this black, or you want different color patterns, by all means change them, or you could try to find yourself like a dark gray. That might work out better for you. That way you can still see your line work from the inking on it. Me personally, it didn't bother me. I just wanted it to be a black spider to stand out more. Okay. But all in all, that's gonna do it for our graffiti. Turning a word into graffiti. I hope you learned something. I'm glad you stuck around if you did and followed along. Remember to practice. Wow, my signature wrong. Remember to practice. And feel free to share your work with me on Twitter if you like what we're doing. Again, subscribe, like, share. If not, leave me a comment if you have other ideas for what you want to see. Other than that, I appreciate you stopping by. Please keep on sketching in the meantime. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.